Hello, divine man. Hello, divine woman. And welcome to this safe space. Before we get started, how you doing? Like, seriously, how are things going on with you? How are you holding up? How you feeling? How your body feeling? Right? Just take a second and just acknowledge how you feel today. Personally, I'm I'm just hoping for the best. I almost said expecting the worst, but no, I'm hoping for the best right now. I am just here, enjoying the present, enjoying now. But of course, if you're hearing this, listening to this, you had to join me for one of my spiritual escapades. So if you have not already, go ahead and like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy, the conversations that are had here. If you have anything you want to add or say or share, don't hesitate to drop it in the comments below. I do my very best to respond to every comment. And yeah, so if you listened to any of the chapters yesterday, which are the chapters previous to this one, this is the following day. It's actually the day before Valentine's. It's February 13. It's like 60 something degrees outside. I don't know. I just feel good today and I am here for it. Okay. So kind of following in the footsteps of yesterday, I had another dream this morning, and I don't know. When I woke up from the dream, and then I went back to sleep, of course, I don't know. So, hear me out. In the dream, right, it was like I was schizophrenic in a way. Like, it was so. I live off the Space Coast in Florida, so I see the rocket ship launches and stuff and the satellite launches. And in this dream, there was a launch, but I was like schizophrenic about it. Like, it was so extreme that the only thing I was missing in the dream was to have like a bomb shelter and whatnot. And even in the dream, there was this point where they were trying to make people robots. Granted, yesterday I saw the movie Gamer. That was a fucked up movie. It was kind of like that, where they were trying to control people, and I just wasn't having it. But the thing about it was, they weren't talking about mind control. It was just like, kind of like in the movie where they were putting the nanobots in people, and then they were like, for a certain amount of time, somebody could live through you, and then that was what was happening in the movie. But in the dream, it was more like, here, we're gonna put this here, and that was it. They were trying to highlight the benefits, but my mind, I was thinking ahead. Y'all trying to do this because y'all want to control people at the end of the day. And so in the dream, it was like I was just very schizophrenic. I was very paranoid about that, even though there was nothing in the dream saying it. But when you open that can of worms, eventually you're gonna see, like, you just know certain things before you know it. And that's what's been happening a lot with me over the past few years. And so basically what I'm trying to get at, right, in the dream, it made me come off as very schizophrenic, very paranoid. Like, what I was saying made no sense, when it did make sense. Because if you look at history, that's how it starts. You get in the society gets introduced to one thing, and then it turns out to be something else. And then look at all the movies. It's basically the same thing. It's one small idea, and then that explodes, right? The Big Bang Theory, and it turns out to be some BS that was planned from the start. And so it's like, saying that out loud, it's like I'm picking up on that before it actually happens. And people are like, girl, you tripping, you tripping, you tripping. And I'm like, all right, okay, just watch. And then boom, it starts happening, or a variation of it starts happening. So I noticed in the dream that it came off extreme. And so when I woke up, like for some reason I wasn't thinking schizophrenic, but I woke up and that was the word that came up. So I started looking it up, right? And the basic overview on Mayo Clinic says schizophrenia is a serious mental disorder in which people interpret reality abnormally. Schizophrenia may result in some combination of hallucinations, delusions, and extremely disordered thinking and behavior that impairs daily functioning and can be disabling. So that doesn't sound like it, right? I'm not seeking validation, I promise. But like honestly, to a certain extent, I could see where that comes from. You know, how many people have been diagnosed as schizophrenic because they can pick up on things before other people can, or the you know, like regular people can. And so it made me, all this happening when I woke up from the dream, it made me think like, am I being paranoid in life? And like it really just had me doing a lot of self introspection. And the thought that came to my mind was that, you know, in the dream I was being like super cautious, and it translated to, am I being super cautious in my waking life as well? Because when I think about it, I do my best to learn from other people's mistakes, or you know, I love to be put in a position where people learn from my mistakes, thus the reason of the series. But then when it comes to making decisions as well, I like to, for the most part, be cautious and think ahead. Like, if I make this decision, what's going to happen? If I do this, what's going to happen? I do have my spontaneous moments, but for the most part, I'm like, I need to plan this out, you know, sometimes to the very detail. And that has been something that I've been working on, you know, the controlling factor. I can't control everything. If I try to control everything with my limited understanding, I am not giving the powers that be the opportunities to surprise me, if you will. And so I'm still processing the dream, but that was really where I was. Like, I'm like, I am not this paranoid. You know, in the movies when they have that one person, they're just like overly cautious, like, don't step on the dirt, it's gonna get your shoe. You know, like, I'm not that type of person. You know, I'm not that type of person. Are you that type of person? Because I'm not. But it made me realize maybe there are areas in my life where I can be a little more risque. I don't mean in a sexual sense, but you know, if you know me personally, I am risque, but maybe I should be a little more open and a little more spontaneous, I guess, with just everyday life. You know, maybe not overthink every last detail, because you know there are times where, and I just noticed this last year. Again, a lot of the stuff we experienced are starting to make sense this year. Last year, I realized certain things where I should have said something, I did not say it because I was already thinking about what's next, what's gonna happen next. If I say this, what's gonna happen? If I say that, what's gonna happen? And that has prevented a lot of opportunities being grabbed on in all their opportunity, is whatever the word I could put there. And so maybe we need to learn how to be less paranoid with the end results, less focused on the end results, and just showing up in the present moment as our best self. You know, a little throwing caution to the wind, if you will. All right, so I ended up pulling some cards from my everyday tarot deck, which I will link in the description below. This was my very first tarot deck, and I love it because it's like purple and gold and white, and purple is my favorite color. So at the bottom of the deck, we have the Sun card, the King of Wands, the Magicians, Queen of Pentacles, Seven of Wands, and Ten of Cups. When I started pulling the cards that came out were the Nine of Wands, Ten of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, the Moon, and the Knight of Pentacles. Sorry, Nine of Pentacles. Interesting that I said Knight of Pentacles. It's basically, when you look at a light, like let's say you're in dark, right? You're in the darkness, and you focus on the light, and then you're so focused on the light that you can focus on the light, but then when you look away, everything is dark, and then you have to refocus your eyes to see what you couldn't see while you were looking at the light. That's basically what I'm getting. Where it's like when we are so focused on the outcome or how things are gonna look, we don't really get to see the opportunities that are being presented around us. Many times we are focused on that one thing that has caught our attention, but if we take a step back, we may see that maybe that might not be the best choice. Maybe there's other things that are being shown, but you're not seeing it because you're so focused on that one thing that has your attention. So it's like, take a step back and trust, surrender. We got the Moon here. Trust and surrender. Understand that everything is not in our control. And the more we try to control things, the less we can live a full life. The less we will live a full life because we're so focused on how we want things to turn out. Whereas the powers that be may have a better way of things turning out. I was reading this quote I have on this board in my office, and it says, if things do not go your way, hold on, because they're going to turn out better than you ever imagined or you planned. How can we let that happen if we're so focused on having things turn out the way we think they should turn out? You feel me? I noticed, like, to get to where I am and to accomplish a lot of the things that I accomplished, I had to surrender and let go and believe that things are going to work out. And they did. Turned out way better than I could have ever imagined. And I am so here for it. And that is the type of energy that we need to hold on to. I had to pull out the Knight of Pentacles in this deck, and it's all about forward thinking, right? In the Nine of Pentacles, we got what I feel is a crow. And then the Knight of Pentacles, we have a horse, but they're all pointing to the right. Several horses are here actually in this spread. And it's divine guidance. It's like the Chariot card. Movement, progress is happening as long as you learn to surrender the things you cannot control, right? You have to be willing to just be. Like, I'm looking out the window and right now it's a bird on the tree, and it's birds don't know how the day is gonna go. Birds don't know where they're gonna get their next meal from. All they know is their instincts. I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna do what I need to do to live. And as they go about their way, they're just provided for. They're led in the right direction. They migrate to where they need to migrate. And how is that any different from us? The only difference is that we have freaking laws and regulations and all this other stuff that keeps us busy during the day. But at the end of the day, we're literally in the same boat, just getting by. And yet we feel as though we need to control circumstances and determine how things need to happen. Yet when we choose to surrender to the unknown and trust our instincts, that helps us elevate. That helps us go to where we need to go. just learning to be intentional about it. Like, okay, I want to accomplish a certain goal. I'm gonna surrender this, right? I have a plan and I surrender that plan. I understand things may not go as I planned it to go, but I know at the end of this journey, I want to accomplish this certain goal. And it may not even look how you think it's going to look when you initially make that goal or you set that goal. But the thing is, you set that goal, you have that plan, you surrender that plan, and you still trust as you take those steps, those actionable steps, and understand that things may not be set in stone, but they're going to go as they need to go for you to reach that end goal, regardless of how it's gonna look like. And so, yeah, throw caution to the wind. I mean, you gotta remember to have fun in the moment. You gotta remember to be there in the moment, because sometimes we just get so focused on what's happening in the future or in the past that we never really get to live in the now, in the present. And then the moment you finally do start looking in the present, it's like, well, holy shit, where has the time gone? What has happened? Or I don't even know where I am. And how is that a good way to live? Because your life is literally passing you by. So let's take a moment. We're not going to focus on the past because that can be depressing. We're not going to focus on the future because it can get very anxiety inducing if we don't know how we're going to get there. And let's focus on the present. Let's focus on what we can control. We can control our minds. We can control our attitude. We can control our feelings. And we can allow the things that we learn as we go in the present to guide us to that next step. So, I hope you got something from this. Again, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe to this channel. Share this information with somebody you feel needs to hear it. Drop a comment below if there's anything that stood out to you or something that came to mind as you listened to this. Bye.